Hi, I'm Greg Martin from Alaska Heirloom Rolling Pin, and today I'd like to show you how I turn my Acorn door stops. Basically, I turn two door stops out of one piece of wood that in this case, I've selected and made a piece of 1¼ by 1¼ walnut, and basically turn the doorstop ends to make them look like acorn details, and then cut them in two, and we get two doorstops out of it. It's pretty sweet. If you come over and look in the bench here, you'll see how that layout happens. Okay, what I have here is all the stuff that I need to do the layout. The layout on this is extremely simple. I just really want to put some points on here that give me reference when it's spinning on the lathe. So what I've done is I have a 5-inch portion in the middle of the blank that will be the wedge portion of the doorstop. And then I have a 2-inch portion on each end that will be the acorn portion of the doorstop. And I've marked that all the way around the blank so that when it's turning on the lathe, I'll be able to actually see these pencil marks, and I'll easily know where I need to do my cuts. And that's basically it. On the ends, I've marked an X for a centering punch on each end so that I can mount it onto the lathe. And basically that's it. If you want to come over to the lathe with me, we'll get this turned into a couple of doorstops. Cool, thanks. Okay, what I've got here is I've got my blank mounted up on the lathe, and the tool rest in position, pretty much ready to go to turn. Let's go ahead. I used basically two tools for this. I used an easy tool with a round carbide bit for doing the kind of the inside cove cuts, and then I have a smaller tool that I use to do the detail on the acorn. So let's go ahead and get this turning, and you'll see how it goes. Let's go ahead and do that. We're going to measure the throat in here and compare it to a reference that I have, and then I'll know if I need to take more out of there. There. And actually, we're pretty much right on. So I was lucky I didn't take any more off. Let's measure the thickness of the acorn itself. And what we got here, I can take a lot more off here. So I'll take more off in this area, and then I'll begin to shape the actual shape of the acorn. That's the basic shape. Now I'm going to actually make the acorn itself. And that's done with a smaller skew detail tool. And I need to actually change the height of my rest so it's a little safer. This needs to come up almost to right in the middle of the piece. And I'm going to move it over so I can get my skew in there a little closer as well. There we go. That ought to do it. Nice and firm. Always turn this to make sure we're not catching anything on the tool rest. And there we go. And I think that pretty much showed. I like to check my edges up here. These seem to be a little sharp, so I'm going to come in with my bigger tool and actually smooth these edges off, and then I'll be done on this side. I don't like to get this area down too small until I'm ready to cut it off of the lathe, because there's other work that's going to create quite a bit of torque in here, and I don't want this to break. So I'll finish these edges and then I'll move to the other side. I just generally sand at 120 grit. This could go up to actually even 220 grit, and that would be good too. But for the most part, 120 grit has been giving me the finish that I like for these. That's off of there, and that's off of there. There we have it. I don't know if you can make that out, but basically I like to look, at this point, I like to look at the grain of the wood and see what I want to have on the side of the doorstop, and then select how I'm going to cut this. I think I like to see this on the side, so I'm going to cut from here to here, and I'll draw a diagonal line. I'll show you how to do that. Thank you. Off there, and so basically what's left to do is to put the Dremel tool details in the top and do a final hand sanding just to get the rough edges off, the sharp edges off, and then to finish it with the walnut oil that I like to use. It's basically a walnut and wax combination. So the Dremel tool, I use the Dremel tool with a little, I don't know, a little burring tool on the end of it, and I use it at a low speed. And basically all I do is come in and put a lot of little divots into the top of the acorn. Get the dust off of it, and we're going to apply a stain. Now this piece of walnut started out as a fairly light colored piece of walnut, so it may not stain quite as dark or oil up, because there's no stain. This is just a walnut oil that I'm putting on these. But it'll definitely darken to some degree. It may not get completely as dark as those are. And so all I do is apply a liberal coat of walnut oil. You could use linseed oil. That's a popular choice. I like this particular brand of walnut oil that I get, but I always like the last bit here where you get to put the finish on and really see the grain of the wood come out. And we're done. Thanks for joining me, and I'm going to continue to put some more videos out there on YouTube and Facebook, and I'll probably post a picture, a video of turning a rolling pin next, and the process that I go through to turn one of my Alaska Heirloom rolling pins. Thanks for joining me.